Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, everybody. I'm Preacher Mars, host of the Shout Out Show. I want to give a shout out to everybody that tuned in yesterday. I got some great comments, some great advice, and some great insights. I appreciate you. That show was about the child support enforcement agency and the evil it does to black families. Um, brothers and sisters, I thought I would just carry on because that was a little dark, but it was real. We need to have those conversations. So, today's topic, which we'll get to, is going to be a little bit lighter, but I think it's also falling along those lines. That whole aspect of people helping people, which is really about doing for self, but that whole idea of doing for self is so that you have the ability to help other people. So before we get started, let me thank all of our young people, all of our new people who are coming to the Shout Out Show. We appreciate you. Listen, don't fret, don't frown, don't worry, don't stress. You are amongst friends. While I'm the host, I don't own. This is the platform for everybody. That's what I wanted to say. This is a platform for everybody. So if you're coming on the show for the first time, don't be intimidated. Go ahead and get in the comment section. Get what's known as affectionately as your shout out. We want to recognize you. This is a show where we recognize people and what people do, and we have a community format. Why wouldn't you want to be part of a community, particularly this community? We have some of the most eclectic, different, insightful, kind, beautiful, creative people that you can have. And we're opening it up. We're telling you to come on in and be a part of our conversation. All right. So now we get that done. Quick note, brothers and sisters. Quick note. Our Saturday spotlight. I don't have the flyer up. I should have it. That is my fault. Sister Sultana, that is my fault. But we're going to have Brother Shahid Ahmed. Now, you've heard us talk about cryptocurrency. You've heard us talk about startups. We're talking about creativity and technology. We're talking about setting up our own businesses. Brothers and sisters, you do not want to miss this show on Saturday. This is a man who's done it all. He's been an advisor for tech to the Obama administration. He's done Zacatify. He's done tons of apps. He's also in that crypto space. So we have him here for about 45 minutes to an hour. And that 45 minutes to an hour, he could probably command thousands of dollars, brothers and sisters, just for just that advice and just sitting in the place and looking through things. He's agreed to come on the Shout Out Show, our community, and share information, just like we do. But he's going to share information about tech opportunities. He's going to share information about some of the trends that are out there. Of course, your boy is going to be asking the tough questions. But these are the tough questions that we need so that we could be our best selves moving forward. We talk about crypto, we talk about NFT, we talk about all these things. When COVID broke out, we talk about the aspect of creativity, understanding opportunities. This is a man who understands opportunities and takes advantage of opportunities. Okay. So let me go ahead and get to stars in the building. Satana. That's right. We got Sister Ree. Sister Ree is our craft services director. Sister Ree, we hope you're feeling all right. We know you dealing with some allergies and things like that from your trip. We pray that you're well and you're on the road to recovery. Who we got next, Sister Satana? My little brother who I was talking to earlier today, my confidant, my main man. Just talking about family. Big shout out to Miss Maisie too. Give Mom a hug and give my Milwaukee family a hug too. Johnny L. Thomas, better known as JT, doing big things. Altaf Rashid, all the way from Toronto, representing the Maple Leaf country. My main man, Altaf. What can I say, brother? You here like shine on Nation Islam shoes, brother. We appreciate you, man. Always here, no passport, no immigration, no doubt he's gonna be here. So we appreciate you, brother Altaf. We're gonna get you married by the end of the year, brother. Yes, Sister Ika, also coming all the way from Indonesia, not Jakarta, but she's coming from Depok, outside of Jakarta. She comes here also with no passport, also with no vaccinations. Just like nobody needs vaccinations for the Shout Out Show. I think that's hilarious. But thank you so much for coming on the show. Peace and blessings to your children. Thank you again for appreciating. We appreciate you coming on the show. Who we got next? Oh, we have one other person. We forgot. Got to shout out Sister Satana running the back of the show. I don't see the permissible laughter thing anymore. So she's running the back. She's looking at see as I talk, my hands are clear, brothers and sisters. My hands are clear. Sister Satana is blowing up, understanding the production aspect of it, the tech side of it. Alhamdulillah, sister, thank you so much for helping me out with my personal business outside of the shout out show, making sure that I'm organized and moving forward, because when that happens, everything is so much better. So let me give a shout out. Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, Sister Satana. Well, let's get to our topic. Our topic today is appreciating not-for-profit people in our lives. Let me say it again. Appreciating not-for-profit people in our lives. You heard of NFTs? Well, these are NFPPs, not-for-profit people. Now, when I say not-for-profit people, I'm going to preface this. These are not people who do you favors. Because a favor is like, I'm going to pay you back. These are people who are very much in tune to your needs, wants, desires, and abilities and capabilities. These are people who spend time understanding you, understanding your skill set, your deficits and your strengths. These are people who are not there for your favor. They're there for your well-being. Now, I say appreciating not-for-profit people in our lives. Ladies and gentlemen, you know me. I'm in the entertainment business. The entertainment business, Kanye West and my good friend Sakai Sandifer had a great quote in the book called Thank You, You're Welcome. The quote was, get used to being used. Let me say it again, get used to being used. That is our culture now. It is a quid pro quo culture whereby if you do for me, I do for you. If I do for you, you do for me. And there's no clear spiritual fiduciary explanation or relationship. Things are very transactional. And we have that now. Even in our masjids and our churches, we do have the transactional spirituality. I want to say the profit motive, or again, not the profit motive, but the concessions that we give to get things. In minority communities, I'll say this, in minority communities, it was interesting because you really didn't have that, because at some point in time, everybody's trying to get to the same place. So the structure of a communal, if not just a communal, but a communal credo statement said that we have to raise our babies. The aspect of the village is a thing that moved the esoteric out of the way and imbibed us to look at one another and going, if I go down, that one can go down. If I succeed, that one can succeed. The whole idea of education back in the day was not that I send you to school so you become a doctor and then you go away. It was the village raised the money for you to go to school to become a doctor, but then come back to the village and service the people. Not necessarily the rest of your life, but service the people who serviced you, the not-for-profit people in our lives. And I feel like we don't celebrate them enough. We have these spaces where we think we can, for lack of a better word, pick and choose. We can be very discriminating about who we deal with, who we help. I've caught myself sometimes going, I can help that one, I can't help that one. But that's not really me. That's me in a space looking at things or in an environment that's very transactional. When you're a teacher, which is a humbling job, and it's humbling because you are at a precipice, if you will, where children come in, they don't know you, but the expectations that you can help them, in some regards, put you on a pedestal. Let me say it again. The expectation that you could possibly be a help agent allows these children to give over trust to you because they're believing that you can help them be better than they actually are, that you can help them be better, or at least create a dialogue, a modality, a pathway where they can be better people. And parents trust. They trust their kids to teachers. But here's the deal. Somewhere along the line, of course, the game got mixed up. This is not controversial. This is my thoughts. These are my opinions. I always felt that forced integration destroyed the idea or the nature or the value of not-for-profit people in our lives. Let me continue. The schoolhouse that was all black it had a creedal understanding of educating Black children. And that creedal understanding of educating Black children was that education was the thing that gave people opportunity. See, making children go to school to balance out racial politics is criminal, but it was done. Anybody around my age knows exactly what I'm talking about. If you ain't have a fight with a white boy in elementary school or a white girl back in the day, then you probably went to a good school. But the thing is, there was a relational understanding of the times and the people who lived through the times. They're dying off now. You know, we don't really have folks like we used to. When I say we don't used to, the non-for-profit people in our lives, they want all these people that did you a favor, but they got you straight. They, boy, you better get on around here. You better leave that boy alone. Stuff like that. Boy, what you doing out here? You ain't got no homework to do? They were the street commissioners, if you will. Some of them were winos, some of them were alcoholics, some of them were heroin addicts. But they even, in those situations, they knew that you were supposed to be better than what they saw. I'm going to share this, and I'm going to come back. Watch and listen for what this woman says in this article, brothers and sisters. You don't want to miss it. She's elderly, and I don't know if we're really going to get this type of clarity these days. I don't know if we're going to get this type of clarity, but this woman is really amazing. And I'm going to talk a little bit about what her background is if you don't get it from the interview. Again, this is appreciating nonprofit people in our lives.
One woman, many kind deeds. And tonight's Heroes Among Us, CBS 6's Greg McQuaid introduces us to a woman who has dedicated her life to helping children.
Many of them had fallen through the cracks, but as Greg shows us, the beloved woman known as Mama Mac was there to catch them.
I'm referred to as Big Sister, Mama, Grandmama.
A loving figure.
That was Cooley. That was Mr. Cooley.
A role Dr. Janice Mack has perfected.
Find Deborah on the page for me.
Good, Deborah.
Focusing on boys and girls in need.
I'm a humanitarian, and I work on the behalf of people, and children in particular.
For 34 years, Mack was a fixture at the Children's Home of Virginia Baptists in Petersburg.
The hand that is too close, tight to give does not receive.
The home was the last hope for boys and girls facing enormous odds, from poverty and being orphaned to abandonment and abuse.
You can't blame them for the predicament that they're in.
Mama Mack knew only one thing. These children needed her help.
When you start building from the moment you get them.
The North Carolina native started volunteering at the home in the 1970s, eventually rising to become a well-respected executive director. Former colleagues,
she has always dealt with them as if they were her very own children.
Say the job was Dr. Mack's calling.
I don't think that you can put a quantity or limit on the amount of love that's there.
During her extensive tenure at CHVB, Mack shepherded hundreds of children. The lesson was always the same: self-respect.
I came to the home at the age of 2.
Jasmine Tucker says Dr. Mack provided a sense of normalcy in family when none existed.
She kept encouraging us to be better, be more, do more.
Tucker shudders at the thought without the 85-year-old in her life.
She just opened up a lot of doors for children who had less.
Now 25, Jasmine says she will carry a part of Mama Mack wherever she goes.
She gave us hope. She gave us opportunities.
Oh, Lord, have mercy.
No matter if it's her own great-grandchildren or boys and girls from the home.
You.
That's me. Who else you see?
As long as she's surrounded by children, she's rich beyond measure.
It's rewarding, most inspiring to know that you had an opportunity to help mold a person's life.
Mama Mack retired from the home in 2005, but she never really left. Dr. Mack is still in touch with many of the children she helped along the way, just like Jasmine Tucker. Jasmine went on to study at John Tyler Community College and became a surgical technician and landed a job in an operating room at an area hospital in November. She credits Mama Mac with her personal and professional success. I'm Greg McQuaid, CBS 6.
Some of the things you picked up from Mama Mac. One, Mama Mac said she was a humanitarian. But this is the thing she didn't say, but she didn't have to say it. Mama Mac is a servant. Mama Mac is a servant. And when you look at the picture from 1971, you didn't see just black kids. You saw white kids too. Because Mama Mac she doesn't look at color, she looks at the mission. And so many of us, we may not understand this. Sometimes we catch ourselves, we don't look at the person, we look at the mission. We see the larger picture of what that person could be or what that situation could be. That young girl that was talking about Mama Mac, she got emotional because even she begins to understand what the sacrifices were. And I felt like she got choked up because Mama Mac never told her what the sacrifices were because she was too busy doing the work. One of the indicators of a not-for-profit people or not-for-profit person that may be in your life is they don't tell you when the kindness ends, and they don't tell you when the kindness starts. It started way before you. So when you see Mama Mac, it started way before that last girl. It started way before her own children and great-grandchildren. Did you catch that? Her own great-grandchildren? You're talking about a culture, brothers and sisters, a really refined, beautiful, miraculous culture that existed for such a long time. They may not say this. I'm going to say this. You know, in the African-American community, what she did, how she came up, was out of the scope, brothers and sisters, of things that we now take for granted as nonprofits. See, she's not a nonprofit person. What I say? She's not for profit. That's the difference between nonprofit and not for profit. See, the not for profit came before the nonprofit in many regards. See, the aspect of the nonprofit is the government relationship. The nonprofit basically tells the government, "I'll do the job you don't understand, you don't do, or you don't want to do." And the government says, "Cool, here's the number, here's the money, here's the paperwork," and they move on. People like the woman I just saw, or I just shared with you, they have a union. Can I call it a union? Because in every neighborhood, there's a woman like that. In every neighborhood, there's a child like that. In the DNA, if you will, the chain of transmission is something that's never been replicated. Because as her friend was talking about her, they're talking about a village. And the difference between not-for-profit people and nonprofits is that not-for-profit people understand how to construct, maintain, expand, and improve the village and those in the village. I saw a movie, it wasn't a movie, it was I think it was on Epix. The Godfather of Harlem. It was starring, oh my gosh, Forrest Whitaker. He played Bumpy Jones or something like that. And it was funny. Well, it wasn't funny. And in one case, his daughter was a heroin addict. Now, this is in the early 60s or something like that. And he took his daughter to go get help to get off the drugs. And where did he take him? Where did he take his daughter? He didn't take his daughter to the best hospital. He didn't take his daughter to a rehab. He took his daughter to the Muslims, the Nation of Islam Muslims, who were advocating and set up a place to help people get off of heroin. Now, this is not just endemic of Muslims. They're Black Christians that did the same thing. But this was in the absence of governmental help. This was in the absence of government assistance, meaning that they saw the problem. The most effective rehab you're going to get is going to be from the community. the most effective rehab you're going to get is going to come from the community. And this is why I think so. Because the community, when they deal with you, and this is the most beautiful thing with nonprofit people in our lives. The thing about nonprofit people in our lives is they deal not just with our value, but they deal with our self-worth. They're extremely concerned with self-worth. And so that little clip I showed you was really a space about self-worth. It was really a spot about creating environments for people to have self-worth. The young girl said she came in, she was 2 years old. Can you imagine you being 2 years old and your mother's not there and your father's not there? And without any auspices or family help, you have to figure out at such a young age who to trust, who to believe in. Who do you think has your welfare, your best interests at heart at 2 years old? So my hats off, my salute is to not-for-profit people. You know, we start out with not-for-profit people. You know who they are. They're your moms and your dads. I want to give a shout out to all the moms and dads. And then there were your uncles and your aunts. I want to give them all shout outs. Then your cousins. You know, we grow up around a bunch of people who are not-for-profit people. And then some of them grow up and they become for-profit people, for-profit relatives, and for-profit friends. But that's just the nature of growth, you know. And I don't want to get into a thing where I'm not berating anybody. I'm not shading anybody. It's just, hey, man, we grow up and we have different needs. I just said that, and I'm like, hey, I have a good friend, known him for years, but he's been on that smack for a really long time. And it's like, hey, I want to help you, but this is where the border is. I can't help you from that. I can't penetrate the drugs to talk to you about self-worth. So let's just be friends up to this point. I'm still your brother, but we have something in between us. I would advocate, brothers and sisters, I would really, really advocate that, you know what? We make a list. You make a list of all the not-for-profit people in your lives. And you get their phone numbers or their emails and just call them. Just check on them. You know why? Because they didn't have to do it. The most resounding characteristic of the not-for-profit person in your life is they could have been doing other things. They chose to invest their sweat equity in you, in your welfare, in your dreams, in your education. They decided to make investments in you. You know, nonprofit, they make investments in problems and solutions. But a nonprofit person makes an investment in you. And the craziest part about it, you can't pay them back. The interest is that you do well. The greater interest is that you take the model that was put upon you and you put it on somebody else. It's not so simple as each one reach one or each one teach one. That's a little, cliquish. That's a little passe. Because the work is difficult on a good day. The work of caring when you don't have to care, to me, is a divine act. Let me say it again. It's a divine act. And the reason I said it is because everybody can't do it. You take some of the most religious people in the world, when you sit them down to a man or a woman, you're in a space and you're talking, you'll find that while they're religious, they're not compassionate. While they're religious, they're not empathetic. While they're religious, they can't understand what your needs are. While they're religious, they can't invest in you being a better person. And that's not to drag them down. Everybody can't do it. That's my exact point. Everybody can't do it. And that's why not-for-profit people in our lives are so special. They're so special. Because people will give you anecdotes and stories and episodes, how these people seamlessly weave their way into life and weave their way out. And they did it over and over and over again. And not only did they do it over and over again, they did it with proficiency. They did it with skill. I remember a conversation I had with somebody years ago about being a comedian. I was a young comedian. I was all of maybe 22 years old. And I thought I was hot smack. And I showed this person my comedy tape that I thought was funny. And I asked him to watch it. And he watched it. Didn't laugh once. And I was like, well, what's going on? He didn't laugh once. But this is the beauty of a not-for-profit person. I said, why didn't you laugh, big brother? And he said, I didn't laugh because you asked me to watch it. You didn't ask me to enjoy it. I said, what? He said, you asked me to watch it, which means that you want me to give a critique. And his critique was spot on. He said, your performance has so many levels to go as a performer. He said, but that writing, that's your ticket. And as I stand before you here right now, writing is probably the only reason I'm in front of this computer right now. Everything I've done, every achievement I've had in terms of comedy, in terms of business, in terms of concept development, consulting, is based on the fact that I honed the skill of writing, not just for comedy, but also for business. So listen, I don't want to go overboard. I don't want to go overtime. I've done that the last couple times. I want to make sure we shout out our sponsor. Our sponsor is BeFinanciallyIndependent.com. Again, that's BeFinanciallyIndependent.com. Now, if you don't want to go to the website, you don't have to. We go old school at BeFinanciallyIndependent.com. You can call 1-800-679-3175. Again, that's 1-800-679-3175. And you can call and some human being will pick up the phone and talk to you about your financial wherewithal, your dreams, your hopes, your planning, your strategies. Miss Maxine Cade is going to be on the other side of that line, or maybe Jamie Cade, and they're going to talk to you about strategy. Not the fact that you work for your dollar, but how do you make the dollar work for you? Simple thing. So as I close, I want to give a shout out and a lot of love, because I'm going to tell you in the shout out show, I feel that we have a lot of not-for-profit personalities. We have a lot of not-for-profit personalities on the show. This is what makes the show a blessing. Almost, it's a blessing, but it's an amana, it's a trust. Because people come on the show, and I realize for this half hour, you trust me. You trust me to give you information. You trust me to give you a show, some information and things like that. And I trust you. And that's a community that we don't have as much as we need to right now. No, one day we'll get out of this space of the pandemic, and one day we'll get out of the space of these economic problems. But what's going to remain is the need and the emphasis for, you guessed it, the non-profit person. Can you put that that last one back up? There you go. My mother is one of the first inspirations of the non-profit person in my life, as well as my aunts. You know, my family has been that way, and I'm sure your family's been that way. See, beautifully, the non-profit people work around your entire fulfillment versus money and goals. Yeah. We've all had a story where your mother didn't tell you the truth about her eating because she wanted you to eat. Once you had a good lunch at school, go ahead, buy your lunch, knowing she couldn't buy her lunch. But you didn't hear about it. One thrown up in your face. Mom said there right there. You hungry, Mom? No. Stomach be like, are you sure? I'm good, baby. Mm-hmm. All been there. Embrace this miracle of the non-profit person in your life. Figure out who they are. Give them a call. All right. That's the show for today. Tomorrow we'll be back on. You know what it is. Throwback Thursday. Oh, I got a doozy for you for Throwback Thursday. We're going to have some fun tomorrow. Absolutely. So listen, you guys take care of yourself. I'm Preacher Moss. This is the Shout Out Show. God bless. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Thank you so much. Hey, everybody, this is your brother, Preacher Moss. Listen, I hope that you enjoyed your Shout Out Show experience. We'll be back with the next show, the next Shout Out Show. A simple ask before you go, please help your brother out. Click that subscribe button, click that notify button, and I'll see you again on this side of the microphone. You probably wonder what that smell is. That's me. I smell good. And the reason I smell good is because I use oils from 334. So I'm not saying you can't smell good. I'm not even saying you stink. I'm saying you have the opportunity to smell exquisite. Check out 334.com for some of the best oils and scents in town.